Here we go, people. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. It's another edition of the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by uwager.eu. It is where America bets. It's sure as hell where this show bets, and I am praying that you guys are listening and you are line shopping with an alternative book, something preferably offshore, something preferably that you can, trust like uwager.eu, which is why we keep telling you guys about them. We want you to be able to get the best number. After all, you're betting numbers. You're not betting teams, so it only makes sense to do yourself a favor and have multiple options when it comes to placing a bet and to getting the best number. Nobody, and I mean nobody, like some of you last night, want to get screwed with the hook in NBA. Those of you that had the Rockets last night at 5.5 when you could have gotten 5 or 4.5 for that matter. So it is important that you guys shop around, get the best number. In order to do that, you've got to have a book that you can trust, which is why we tell you guys about uwager.eu. Not going to harp on it, just going to tell you. Call 1-800-UWAGER. They'll answer the phone, okay? You'll understand them. They'll ask you, you can open an account. It takes 3 minutes. You don't need to fund it with $1 million. They'll go ahead and drop a 50% sign-up bonus. Just give them the code JRS50, and boom, you're on your way to shopping the best number tonight across the NBA, NHL, as well as of course, college hoops. We've got a big slate for you there tonight. Call 1-800-UWAGER, the code JRS50, and give them the bonus. They'll give you a 50% sign-up bonus there. We're loaded here for you today. We'll get to some of the free plays tonight here that we like in NBA and, of course, in college hoops. But I want to bring our good friend Eric Waz from bettoriq.com on. It is Major League Baseball season. Okay, March is literally around the corner. It is tomorrow, and we have just like a laundry list of future bets that keep coming out. I know we got a whole bunch more today. Cy Young, MVPs. We just learned today, of course, Bryce Harper is going where everyone thought he would be going, and that is the Phillies. I know the future odds for that went to win the World Series. I think from 14-1 to 10-1. Now that Harper has in fact signed on with the Phillies, $330 million for 13 years. Congratulations there. Also felt a little bit like Hot Tub Time Machine today when it came across the phone. I don't know if you guys saw this, but apparently Jason Witten is going back to playing football. Something about he's got like an itch or some sort of, I don't know if it's a rash or what's going on, but no more Monday Night Football. Congratulations, ESPN. Cannot get the Monday Night Crew. Between John Gruden, who just completely screwed him up, not that that's going to be a big miss. I love Jason Witten, but he's probably better off on the field than he is in the booth. That whole broadcasting thing ain't necessarily for everybody. Tony Romo is definitely an outlier there. Tony Romo does it well, and Tony Romo, not every guy does it. Not every former athlete, contrary to what ESPN and other media companies think, just because they were an athlete and a former player doesn't make him a great broadcaster. But anyway, he's going back. 36 years old, 37 years old. He's going back to play some tight end for them Cowboys. So that was the other big story today. But, of course, Bryce Harper. What does it mean for Major League Baseball? Well, it means that we can finally stop talking about it and really start breaking down what's going to happen here with these teams, with the National League East, and future bets all over the place. And I thought, what better person than Eric Waz at BettorIQ to try and help us, navigate us through what to do with all of these future bets. And there's a lot to make. Season win totals. Will a pitcher reach 20 wins? Will he not? I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can profit in Major League Baseball, not just from the daily games. Every 162 games is great, but there are certainly opportunities and value to be had in the future bets, and I'm hoping Eric was going to be able to kind of navigate us through it. So had a chance to talk to him. You're going to hear that here coming up in just a minute. I do also want to remind you guys, if you haven't done so already, to go ahead and join us in the morning at the Fantasy Sports Radio Network as we make it rain, 6A to 9A. And then after that, me and Gabe Morency, we've got you covered there for the morning after, pretty much from 6A to 12P. We've got you on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Download the free app on the Google Store, iTunes Store. Join us each and every day. We get you covered not only in the obviously the day sports, what you miss, get you caught up with the latest, but also go ahead and make it a little more profitable for you as we talk a lot of sports betting, the latest news, the latest lines, everything you guys need to know to be a profitable sports investor. You can do that by joining us on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. So check it out, download it, get it going. We're going to go ahead and have some free plays coming up here from our friends at Trendy Bets, not only in the NBA but college hoops tonight. Big slate going on. Also want to remind you to go ahead and support our sponsors. They support us. I hope you'll support them, including our folks at Miami Acura. So if you are in the market for a new or certified pre-owned vehicle, one place to go, MiamiAcura.com. Talking about shopping for the best number. Same thing holds true when shopping for a car. You don't want to overpay. You want to get the best price. How do you do that? Well, you simply visit MiamiAcura.com. Check out the new cars, the certified pre-owned cars. They've got it for you. Deborah and the gang at Miami Acura, I guarantee they will take care of you and give you the best deal. It's MiamiAcura.com. You can stop by South Dixie Highway for those of you in the 305, or simply call them at 855-564-4669. All right, Major League Baseball. How the hell do we navigate MLB futures? Let's talk to Eric Waz, BettorIQ.com. Let's hear what he's got to say. Hey guys, welcome in. Excited because baseball season is just around the corner, and that means, of course, a lot of talk about futures and who's going to be the MVP, season win totals, all of this good stuff. But what is the best and most practical way from a sports investing standpoint to approach futures? So I thought it'd be great if we brought in one of the best, Eric Waz from BettorIQ. You guys know him, has been on the show before. He joins us here. And Eric, baseball season is always a lot of fun. 162 games, plenty of opportunities to be profitable. But, you know, futures are a different animal when it comes to Major League Baseball betting, isn't it?
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, I kind of look at futures as almost like the stock that you buy. You know, it's an investment. You know, you hold on to it throughout the course of the season, and you got to kind of the long term in front of you. You know, when you bet on a game any single day, you know, that game's over at the end of the day. But these bets are long term in nature. You know, the luck kind of evens out in the long run a lot of times. So I look at them as investments, and you know, I do heavily invest in futures. You know, season wins, division odds. I'll play some MVP props, Cy Young, individual player props. So yeah, I definitely put a lot of time and effort into doing that.
Now, when you approach it, right, and I get a lot of theories behind this as far as when, let's start with season win totals, for instance. A lot of people look at the last year's record and they just base what they're going to do off of last year's record. They don't go, you know, Pythagorean theorem. They don't look at one-run games. You know, there's a lot more that goes into it, but the novice is just going to go, well, they won 90 games last year. They'll probably win 90 this year. Walk us kind of through your approach when you start looking at futures for this Major League Baseball season.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of nailed it on the head for the first thing to look at is let's go back and look at last season first and see what happened, right? You know, what went right, what went wrong, how healthy was the team, and there's a lot of factors that could be kind of lucky for a team, and health is one of them. Obviously, you know, a lot of times you mentioned Pythagorean runs. I mean, a lot of times teams win more or less games than they should have based on the numbers. I dig a little deeper than that and look at, you know, actual hits and some of the peripheral stats for hitting and pitching to kind of get an idea of how many wins or losses they should have had for the whole season. So, for instance, the Dodgers last year, I remember, were like 13 or 14 wins lower than they should have been. They should have won like 105, 106 games. I think they ended up with like 92 wins. So you definitely want to know like what the caliber of the team was if things worked out as they should have from a numbers perspective. So definitely that's the first thing to look at. And then I jump kind of into roster turnover, you know, look at all the moves for the season, who they added, who they lost, and how much better they are, you know, relative to prior years. And then you get the coaching changes, you know, looking at, you know, pitching coaches is a big thing, you know, when teams turn over pitching coaches. Managers, not so much, depending on who it is, but definitely the coaches, I think, matter. I don't think people give that enough credit. So those are a couple of things I look at. I got a list here. I can go through these quickly. Schedule analysis as well. I mean, a lot of people look at the schedule in NFL and don't really, for baseball, dig in there and see, you know, how that varies team by team, because some teams do get more favorable schedule than others just based on, you know, the interleague play and things like that. So that's something to take a look at. Depth is a big factor when you're betting season wins. Obviously, teams that, you know, don't have depth and they get a lot of injuries are teams I'm probably going to look at from the under perspective before I look over. They just, you know, they might have guys in the minors, but might not have guys that are above replacement level, and that could be a huge impact to a team. And also, too, for season wins and for division odds and futures, you want to look at the potential moves that they're going to make. So a lot of teams we know at the deadline are going to hunker down and add a few pieces. The Yankees do it every year, it seems like, when they're in contention. You know, the Cubs will probably make a move. The bigger market teams will probably add a piece or two. So you look at a lot of the fan graphs and baseball prospectus sites, and they kind of project out the wins for the season. Well, that's based on the current rosters and maybe the guys that might bring up from the minors, but doesn't factor in future trades. And we know that the good teams that are in contention are going to get better at the deadline, and the bad teams we know are going to get a little bit worse at the trade deadline if they're trading away pieces. So that's a big thing as well. And then the last thing is kind of public perception. You know, how do people perceive these teams? And that plays a big role in the lines makers setting the lines. And the Cubs is an obvious example. We see the Cubs right now at like 92, 93 wins at some of the sports books in Vegas. That's just a public perception thing that, you know, everybody likes betting the Cubs over. A lot of Cubs fans here in Vegas, and a lot of tourists are coming to bet the Cubs. So, you know, they get inflated probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 wins in some cases because that perception is the Cubs are the Cubs, and I'm going to bet them no matter what. So a lot of factors to look at, but you got to take everything into account when you're looking at these investments.
And they are investments, and that's a great point, because we talk about it here on the show all the time, that it's a market, Waz, right? I mean, people need to understand that it's a game, right? And yes, it's sports. We get all that, but there's not really a whole lot of difference between, what we do here from a sports betting perspective than what the guys on Wall Street are doing, right? Market has ebbs and flows. They've got, it's kind of the same mechanics when you look at it across the board.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's things like division odds and championship odds, World Series odds. Those are up all year. So, you can take shots at those whenever you feel the value is there. And, the season wins obviously come down. You got to get in those early. But those rest of those bets are there. And the sports books don't review them probably as often as they should. So you can find value there. And if you watch closely and how things are playing out, I tend to kind of wait a little bit on things like World Series odds. I think it's just too early. You won't find too much value at this point in the season. But, if you start seeing some things in a team that maybe they're not, the records that indicate that they're playing well, or maybe that, a guy emerges from the minor leagues that gets brought up is going to be a big difference maker. A lot of times you wait that first month or maybe 2 months of the season, and you look at it and the perspective has kind of changed based on some personnel changes or just guys who've emerged. And the odds are still the same as they were at the beginning of the year because, the sportsbook hasn't adjusted. Nobody's bet them yet. So a lot of times you're going to find value on stuff like that later in the year. Division odds as well. Not every book puts those up throughout the season, but there are a couple books that do it, and those are great too because those kind of change week by week, based on changes in the standings and personnel changes and just, how things are playing out. So definitely it's a market. It moves all throughout the season, and if you pay attention to it, you can definitely find some value along the way.
Waz joining us, bettoriq.com. If you guys haven't got there already, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Get to bettoriq.com. One of the best, most informative sites that you will get to. And yes, they've got picks, and they've got about 4 or 5 of the, including Waz himself, 6, I think, total. Some of the best handicappers in Vegas, in this country, and better yet, some of the best information to be able to make you a more profitable investor this year. It's not just take this team or take this. They actually have an edge, and they don't mind telling you about it, which is half the battle these days, Waz, that's for sure. Trying to figure out exactly where the edge is. And you mentioned value. How do you look at like a Cy Young or a MVP, this kind of future, this early out? How do you find value in these early lines that come up?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just based on, where they rated last year, and were they undervalued? They kind of play below their peripherals. So, like a guy I'm looking at this season, Jose Ramirez, to win the AL MVP, I think he's 18-1 at Westgate. If you look at his numbers, he had a great season, great numbers. He's been kind of an underrated player the last few years, I believe. He's not been mentioned too much as one of the best players in the game, but he definitely is. I think he's been 3rd or 4th in MVP the last couple of years. Just doesn't get that respect like a Trout or Mookie Betts or an Aaron Judge. If you look at last season, he put up great numbers. He had a really low BABIP. He really, and balls in play, just didn't get lucky. Balls didn't fall in for him. Maybe hit a lot of screaming liners right at people. So I tend to look at some of the advanced stats and kind of say, well, where is there some more upside in a guy, and where can he get better? Maybe he's hitting the ball really well and it's really good exit velocity and launch angle, and all the mechanics were there. But for whatever reason, it didn't play out like it should have, and his numbers were a little bit depressed. So he's a guy I think that could have a huge season. He's going to have to kind of carry the Indians lineup. There's not a whole lot there. So there's some concern that maybe he'll get pitched around a little bit. But he's just a great hitter and underrated guy. I think 18-1 is excellent value there for the AL MVP.
Yeah, it's funny, and Trout, of course, is at the top of that list. But is he? I mean, at 3-1, the chalk there. This guy's going to walk 200 times this year. That's the problem with guys like Trout, is that they're not going to pitch to him. They're just not going to pitch to him. So while it looks good, and you're like, wow, he's definitely MVP. Yes, it's a short number, but the reality is, he's probably not going to win it because he's never going to be put in a position in order to really have some gaudy numbers outside of a WAR.
Yep, and then too, I mean, people get kind of tired of voting for the same guys every year. Like, you know, if Trout's already won some MVPs, he's always in top 2 or 3 in the league, and for him to win it, he almost needs to have, like, you know, one of his best seasons ever, because people see his numbers every year. They kind of expect him to be, you know, the top producer in the game, and if he just has a normal season, which would be an MVP kind of season, people kind of overlook that and say, well, it's Trout. He did that last year. He did it the year before. It's nothing special. We've seen it before. So, you know, you get a guy like, you know, Jose Ramirez or Alex Bregman or a Lindor, guys that maybe, you know, we know are up there as some of the best players in the game, but when they have a huge season and they haven't won MVP yet, people are more likely to look at them as an option because they haven't got that limelight that Trout has had for the last 5-6 years. So that's definitely a factor, I think, in the voting.
And when you're starting, Waz joining us here, bettoriq.com, when you're starting to go team by team, right? And it is a process, especially when you're doing win totals, right? Year win totals, that's what you hear a lot of people talk about. You know, will the Yankees win 100 games again? You know, will the Red Sox? You know, when you approach it, again, you got to take into consideration a whole lot of things. But how do you look at a team like, let's say, the Blue Jays, who have total roster turnover, right? We got a Blue Jays team not bringing up Guerrero. They're hovering around 76 and a half wins. You know, this is a team nobody expects to do well at all. When approaching like a Toronto Blue Jays, do you find that maybe instead of waiting a couple of weeks till the season starts, maybe it's worth jumping in now on a team like that?
Well, it's tough. I mean, baseball's kind of gone the way of, like, you know, there's the contenders and then there's the teams rebuilding. There's not a whole lot of teams kind of in between, and the Blue Jays kind of are in that in between almost. They're definitely rebuilding, but they have some good young talent. I mean, they got 2 of the best prospects in the game, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's the #1 prospect in the game right now, and looks like he might be better than his dad, which is saying a lot just so far with the early returns, what he's done in the minors and before that. So they've also got Bo Bichette, another former son of a player, Dante Bichette, remember from the Rockies. So 2 very good prospects, a lot of upside on this team. I could see them exceeding expectations, but, you know, as far as, you know, them getting a chance to win the division or getting into the playoffs, I mean, you're looking at minute chances. I mean, you're looking at, you know, maybe 1 or 2% there, and, you know, unless some guys really over exceed expectations. There's a lot of holes in their lineup. They've got, you know, in the outfield, they don't have a very good outfield right now, and the pitching staff is, you know, a mess right now. They look at their starting rotation. I mean, Marcus Stroman's their #1. He had a terrible year last year.
Yeah. And then good luck. Yeah, you don't know who's going to be in the pen, and that's the problem with some of those in some of those teams. Like you said, some of the middle of the road teams, kind of hard to figure out exactly what they're going to do. So it is kind of maybe even worth it to, instead of having to place a bet right now, unless there's an absolute team you are 100% sure about, maybe you let you know, a month or 2 and you know, revisit it by the time May comes. I mean, maybe is that a fair strategy?
Yeah, there's no reason to rush out. I mean, definitely seeing a little bit of, you know, some games, see how things play out. Some of the breakthrough guys you're looking at, I think a little what the expectations are not, and there's no reason to rush out. I mean, I do make a fair amount of bets before the season, especially for season win totals, because you only kind of get one chance to make those. But as far as your, you know, World Series odds and, you know, some of the other bets you can make throughout the season, division odds and whatnot to come up, and there's no rush. I mean, you can wait and see a little bit and, you know, take some time. So, yeah, just the things you want to bet early on are the kind of sure things. The things you think, hey, the market's going to figure this out. The value's not going to be there in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to jump on this now and wait before everybody else grabs it. But yeah, there's, for the most part, you can wait it out and just find things along throughout the season.
Were you shocked when, of course, Manny goes to San Diego, signs with San Diego, and I do think a lot of people were sitting there going, oh boy, this win total is going to go through the roof now because they got Manny Machado. But the reality is it was a swing of 2 games. At least that's the way Vegas saw it. Are you shocked? Can we expect the same thing of Harper, no matter where Harper goes? Are we still looking at 1 or 2 game difference in the win total?
Yeah, it seems a little light. I mean, I saw the San Diego move. I think, yeah, 2 wins. I think I saw a couple places moving to be 3 wins on San Diego. And that seemed a little odd. I mean, I think what you had going on there was maybe baked into their season win total was the chance that they might get a guy like a Machado or Harper. So they already kind of inflated it maybe a couple of wins prior to that, right? So when it actually happens, you're not getting the full Machado's probably worth a 5. He's probably a 5-win player, maybe even higher than that if he has if it keeps getting better. So some of that was a baked in. Some of it is, hey, it's just San Diego. They're still rebuilding. A lot of young guys on that team. They still have a lot of pitching questions. Is Machado going to really? Are they going to pitch around him? He's really going to get a chance to show what he can do. So there's a lot of question marks there, and I think people kind of want to wait and see on him. Harper's a different story. I feel like if he signs with a surprise team, like let's say the Giants or somebody, I think their season win total goes up 6 wins instantly because they have a lot of holes in that team. They're kind of rebuilding. Yeah, he's a 5 or 6 WAR player. Wins above replacement. So I think that's a big impact. He goes to the Dodgers. Maybe not so much because the Dodgers already have a well-balanced roster and they've got a lot of assets already, and he can't make as big of an impact there. Maybe it's a 3-win or 3.5-win adjustment there. But the Phillies line, I think, already has most of it baked in. I mean, their line has been getting pretty high, around 89. I've seen even at 90 at a couple places. So they're already kind of saying, hey, this is the place he's going. If he goes to Philly, you might only see a 1 or 2-win adjustment because they're expecting him to land in a Phillies uniform.
Yeah, they used that originally over there. Who's worth more, have you seen? Is a guy like Justin Verlander worth more wins, a guy that plays every 5th day, as opposed to a Bryce Harper or a position player? Who have you found is actually worth a little bit more when it comes to wins and losses?
Yeah, definitely the position players are worth more. I mean, obviously playing every day. And we see now with pitchers, especially starting pitchers, I mean, they're just not getting as many innings as they used to. So they're not making as big of an impact. I mean, you see a lot of guys now, they get to that 5th inning and they're done. Even the studs, even the big guys, I mean, they're going a little bit longer. They're going 6, sometimes maybe 7. But you don't see any guys going 8 or 9 innings anymore. It's very rare. So I think starting pitching has kind of been a little bit diminished. I think people saw the value of the bullpen and how much better it is to bring a guy in for 1 or 2 outs than it is to let the pitcher stay out there for another inning or 2. So position players generally have the highest WAR. You get guys like Trout and Harper that can have big seasons and maybe worth 8, 9 wins. You rarely see starting pitchers worth that many wins unless they have an unbelievable. I mean, Verlander, I think a few years ago when he won MVP, had one of those seasons where he was worth, I want to say, around 9, 10 wins, wins above replacement. So it's rare, and it's even rare in today's game. So I don't think you could make a case for starting pitcher really adding more than maybe 3 wins to a team when you're looking at making a free agency signing. Like there's a guy out there now, Dallas Keuchel, that's still a free agent. If he signs somewhere, I'm betting that season win total maybe moves maybe a game and a half. It's just not a huge impact like it would be to sign an everyday guy.
Waz, BettorIQ, joining us. Make sure you guys are tailing him. Waz, BettorIQ on Twitter, also bettoriq.com. And Waz, I'm kind of curious, when you see futures like, will a starting pitcher win 20 games, or what is the number? Will it be 20? Will there be a 20-game winner? Will there be somebody who wins more than 21 games? Those kinds of prop bets off the bat, are those maybe some of the things you look to bet right away? Because you mentioned it with pitchers. What are the chances we're going to get a guy that wins 21, 22 games?
Yeah, today's baseball, you're not going to see too many guys even win 20. So if you see props out there, how many guys will win over 20 games, or, will a guy get to 22 wins? I mean, it varies by book. I'll be looking towards the under for sure. Because like I said before, I mean, guys are only going 5, 6 innings. There's much bigger chance that, that lead can be blown. He's coming out early. And some guys are only making it through like 4 innings now. And if you make it through 4 innings, we know that you can't get the win as a starting pitcher. So with the quick trigger there, it's really hard to get there. There's some good props out there with losses for starting pitchers as well, where I think it's like 18 losses or more will the highest loss pitcher have. That used to be a good bet to bet there'll be at least one guy with 18 losses or more. I think it happened like 13 out of 14 years, and that bet cashed if you bet 18 losses or more. Nowadays, like I said, it's harder to cash that because guys aren't staying in there as long. So I think we still see it, but I'll still look at maybe being at least one guy doing that. But those kind of props are fun. Those are the kind of props where you can find value if you dig in and do a bit of research. Because the books, what they do is they look at the line from last year and they basically just copy that. They don't put a whole lot of thought into it. It's kind of the same every year. But if you look at it every season a little bit differently and look how the game's changing, a lot of times you can find value in those props. They don't take a lot of money on them. You may only get down a nickel or a dime. be hit at a few spots, and you get decent bet in, and those bets can be great.
I got to ask you too. You were the guy that I thought of when this story broke, where of course Major League Baseball hops out and approaches the Nevada Gaming Commission and says, "Hey, listen, man, you guys gotta force the book's hand. You gotta pull spring training games off the board, man. Integrity this, integrity that." Are you shocked that Major League Baseball took that approach with spring training games? Because I got to ask you, does somebody like you, Waz, spend a lot of time and a lot of money investing in spring training games, or am I missing something here?
Yeah, most guys don't touch spring training. I used to do a lot of spring training my first 3 or 4 years in Vegas, to be honest, and did really well with it. But it's hard to get down big bets. It really is. So, it's kind of laughable that MLB is so concerned about it, because most places are taking a nickel, maybe a dime. I think Westgate takes a dime on their spring training sides. But it's hard to, you want to get down a huge bet and try to influence the game and, fix the game. I think that's what the MLB is worried about. I understand the concern that, hey, these aren't real games. They can be easily manipulated. But, I mean, how much can you get down? How much can you pay a guy to throw a spring training game? I mean, what are you going to get down? Maybe if you're lucky, you hit every single shop on the strip. Maybe you get down, lucky if you're lucky, 10, 15 grand, maybe. Probably not even that. I mean, that's just Vegas. So MLB is a little short-sighted, because people are going to make those bets offshore if Vegas pulls them down. They're going to find another way to bet them. They're going to use their local. They're going to use offshore. So what are you really doing when you force the hand of the casinos to say, take these off the board? You're just making it go underground all of a sudden. So it's really not a smart strategy. You'd rather have those bets be regulated and see those bets at a casino where they can monitor and see if there's any unusual activity. So MLB, I think, they just haven't caught up with kind of where things are at. They're still learning, I think, a lot about the industry and what's taking place. And they'll eventually get it. They'll hire some sports betting experts to bring guys in to kind of learn the industry better. But at this point, they're still very naive as to how things work.
And I love it, too. Usually what you start with is that, I don't know, go to your partner, MGM, Major League Baseball, and when they pull it off the books, okay, then maybe we can ask some other books to do it. But last I checked, MGM still got the spring training games up, but has that partnership working out, all right? Go to your partner first if that's going to be the case. Cracks me up. Waz, bettoriq.com. I would highly encourage you guys to go and visit him. The Cy Young Awards, the options came out here today for the futures. Real quick here, American League, National League. Are there a name or two here that you would look somewhere with the middle of the number?
Yeah, I kind of like in the AL, James Paxton. He's looking at 18-1 right now. He's obviously in the Yankees now. He's going to get a lot more run support than he did in Seattle. He's an ace. I mean, I think he's still kind of underrated, and people know he's good, but I think he's one of the top 10, 12 pitchers in baseball. Those are good odds. I think you get the Klubers and Sales up there on top. Sale pitched a ton of innings last year. He was in the playoffs, so I think he's going to have a little bit of a regression here. And Kluber's getting old, so I think some of these younger guys coming up, we look at even Carlos Carrasco is a guy I think will eventually win a Cy Young. He's at 12-1, which isn't a bad price either. I think he'll be in the running if he stays healthy. He's had some health problems the last couple of years, but I like his odds a little bit as well. And then looking at the NL really quickly, Marquez from the Rockies, 40-1. I mean, he was in contention last year. He was pitching great down the stretch. He was probably the best pitcher in baseball the last couple of months of the season. He wouldn't surprise me at all if he wins it. He's sitting at 40-1, at least at the opening odds at Westgate right now. I think that's a great bet. I think he's one of the 5 or 6 best pitchers in the National League, and they've got him slotted about maybe like 12th or 13th in the betting options. So I like Marquez there.
Talk to us real quick, Waz, about BettorIQ and how now, because it's great. You're not one of these firms that you don't have 300 guys on the roster, and you don't have these guys that specialize in 19 sports. The 6 guys that you have are some of the best the industry has. I mean, they're some of the most well-respected, some of the most profitable guys. But when baseball season comes, when people go to BettorIQ, how can BettorIQ help them be a little bit more profitable this year?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. I mean, like you mentioned, we have a very high bar for who we bring in as handicappers. We only have six guys. We take it very seriously. We specialize only in a couple of sports each. And we got a few guys who do baseball and are very good at it. And we got a early bird package up on our site right now for $5.99 for the entire season. And baseball's a grind. I mean, it's a lot of games, a lot of opportunities, but a lot of opportunities to find good value there. And our guys do a lot of work on not just looking at box scores and watching games. And we dig into the numbers from an advanced statistical standpoint. We're looking at velocities for pitchers. We're reading reports from the sabermetrics guys. So we go above and beyond to find that value, and the records definitely speak for themselves.
Yeah, I'm wondering too. We do a lot of fantasy here. Being a good fantasy player, being a good handicapper, it's amazing how those two things have kind of are cohesive, and they are kind of a necessary thing in these days, because the same kind of analytics that goes into fantasy, you guys are using to come up with an edge and come up with some value in sports betting, aren't you?
Yeah, that's a great point. The fantasy sites are a great resource. I mean, they really are. I mean, obviously they got created when DFS started blowing up, but from an analytical standpoint, they've got all the numbers there for you, especially for starting pitchers. There's some great sites out there like a Roto Grinders that has all kinds of tools you can use to evaluate pitchers and the hitters as well, obviously, and get a better feel for how they're actually performing, not just looking at the basic stats like ERA and batting average and home runs. They're breaking it down from the peripheral standpoint, looking at exit velocities, launch angles, velocity, spin rates, all these different, factors that really tell you the skill of the player and how he should perform. And it kind of takes all that luck factor out of it and says, hey, this guy's got these numbers on the surface, but underneath, he's actually performing like this. And that's a big part of baseball, is there's so many numbers out there for baseball. It's the one sport where, you can go to a Fangraphs, Baseball Prospectus. There are thousands of different statistics. I mean, literally thousands. You don't have that for NFL. You don't have that for NBA. They're getting there. There's more and more stats every year, but baseball's had these numbers forever, and it's just, if you use them effectively and use them to your advantage, you can create a nice little edge with just using those stats.
Great stuff. Also, go to bettoriq.com. You can definitely get yourself an edge there. He is Eric Waz. Check him out, guys. BettorIQ.com. Become a more profitable sports investor this year by getting these guys in your corner. Waz, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. Good luck this baseball season. We're going to talk again.
All right, Joe. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
We got one life, so we not gonna waste to live large like the rich and the famous.
Want to thank Eric Waz very much for stopping by. Love that. BettorIQ.com is where you need to go. I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, the futures can get out of control here during Major League Baseball season. Right now, inundated all over the place. In fact, I'm looking for the latest. I don't know. I know the World Series odds changed because of Bryce Harper's signing. They went from 14-1 to 10-1. It's still a long shot, but I'm wondering if the win total, they were up there anyway. They were around 90 wins anyway to begin with. So you heard what he said there, what Eric had to say about they probably factored him going into Philadelphia anyway, so that number may not change as much. But the one thing I know for sure is there's absolute value to be found in Major League Baseball futures. There is certainly profitability there waiting for you if you just know how to tackle it and where to go. And like he said, you got to be able to dive in. You can utilize some of the fantasies like the Roto Worlds of the world. Or you can stop by, of course, our group at the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Guys, we've got all of the fantasy tools for you right there, rotoworld.com. We got everything for you, including the ability to hang out with us each and every morning on the Fantasy Sports and Radio Network. You download the app, you get us. We handle the sports betting aspect of it. We got guys in there who are, we're talking about 6- and 7-figure daily fantasy, pool winners. We've got guys that are champions here on that have shows that come to you each and every day. So if you want to profit in not just sports betting, but if you want to profit in fantasy too, we are definitely the place you want to go. It is the Fantasy Sports Radio Network, and of course from 6A to 12P Yours truly's got you covered there. We make it rain with Dane Martinez in the morning, and then me and the other degenerate Gabriel Morenzi. We've got you covered from 9 a to 12 p for the morning after. Always a lot of fun, great guests, and of course gives you guys an opportunity to get caught up with what's going on not only in the world of sports, but in the world of sports investing. And I want to thank Eric Waz. Do yourself a favor, get to bettoriq.com today. And let's go ahead and get you some plays here tonight. Love this. Looking so forward to it. Also want to remind you guys, if you haven't done so, make sure you guys are tailing our friends at halftimemagic.com. They're getting ready to give away a free play weekend to a couple of very lucky and fortunate people. In fact, it comes with a guarantee from what I understand. Those guys at Halftime Magic specialize in second half betting only. And these guys are promising and guaranteeing at least 60% on their plays over the weekend. Actually, tonight, I believe. 60% winners tonight, or they'll go ahead and cut any package price you want in half. These guys are the real deal. Their record from over the last 12 months, it speaks for itself here, guys. Do yourself a favor. Visit halftimemagic.com. Plenty of opportunities to profit tonight, second half, not only in college, but in the NBA. And if you guys have not been taking advantage of the edge second half betting provides for you, well, then you're missing out. You're leaving an awful lot of money on the table for no reason, especially when you can just visit halftimemagic.com, get on the alerts, get ready to profit. Second halves tonight, college hoops, NBA, waiting for you. halftimemagic.com. Make sure you guys are tailing them too at Halftime Magic. All right, the guys that have been just absolutely cashing in for everybody here on the show, our friends at trendybets.com. They got a couple of plays for you here tonight, not only in the NBA, but they've got another one for you in college hoops. And if you guys tailed us yesterday, then you no doubt cashed with the Baylor Texas over 134 last night. I think they're still scoring. The over was the smart play. It was the right play. It was delivered to you guys by trendybets.com. Something those of you who have been on this show and following us, you've become very accustomed to Trendy Bets delivering for you. So I would go ahead, if I was you, and if you're new to the show, I don't know, I'd throw enough shit against the wall, you'll see what sticks. Maybe you should go to trendybets.com and check out their package prices. And oh yeah, if you want a 50% discount, NBA 50, use that as a code, boom, 50% off. How about college hoops? Same thing, NCAA B50. NCAA B50, trendybets.com, 50% off any one of their college systems. And can I tell you something, guys? All right, I've gotten absolutely nothing like, oh, these guys are terrible. All they do is deliver on free plays here. You have any idea what they're doing for their client base? So, listen, the money is here. It's like free money. All you guys got to do is make the effort. Trendybets.com. Make sure you're trailing them at TrendyBets, okay? There is money to be had, money to be made tonight, and it starts in the NBA with their free play of the day. They're looking Wolves-Pacers tonight. Indiana back home on a back-to-back, laying 4.5. Total is 221.5. We know that the over is 9-2 in Minnesota's last 11 road games. Minnesota's on a back-to-back. They lost last night. We also know the over is 13-3 in the Wolves' last 16 following a straight-up loss, which they did. The over is 12-5-1 in the Pacers' last 18 versus a team with a losing straight-up record, which, of course, is the Wolves. And the over is 8-3 in the last 11 between these teams in Indiana. So your TrendyBets.com free NBA play of the day. We are going over 221. That is over 221. Timberwolves, Pacers tonight. Get it, book it, cash it, get ready to rock and roll. And we are not done at TrendyBets.com because they have a free college play of the day that they want us to go ahead and pass along with you. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we are looking at Xavier taking on St. John's tonight. St. John's laying 5.5, total 144, a little Big East action. Here's what we know. The under, 6-1 in Xavier's last 7 overall. The under is 8-2 in Xavier's last 10 road games versus a team with a winning home record. We also know the under, 7-1 in St. John's last 8 overall. And the under, 4-1 in the last 5 meetings when it's St. John's. So your trendybets.com college basketball free play tonight. The under 144. Xavier St. John's tonight, under 144. And do yourself a favor here, guys. Get to trendybets.com. Utilize the coupon, 50% off, right? NCAA B50. NCAA B50 will get you 50% off their college basketball plays tonight. The packages are already ridiculously affordable. Throw on the 50% coupon. Voila. So Xavier St. John's total is 144. Go under. Also, go under tonight. I'm sorry. Was it go under tonight? I'm pretty sure it was. It's all right. I've seen so many of these here today. I don't know. There it is. Over 221.5 tonight. That's the over in the Indiana Pacers game at home, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So you got under St. John's, over Indiana. You got that? Under St. John's, over Indiana. Under St. John's, over Indiana. And you guys will be ready to start cashing some tickets today. So do yourself a favor. Get to trendybets.com. Make sure you're tailing halftimemagic.com here. And, of course, we want to thank our friend Eric Waz, BettorIQ. You guys are looking to cash in. You're looking to have somebody in your corner all Major League Baseball season long. Definitely the guys to do it at bettoriq.com. So great stuff there. Tomorrow, Make It Rain. Going to cover big weekend of fighting, UFC 235. Who better than the Sports Keg CEO is going to swing by in the morning. He's going to break down a couple of fights for us. He's going to make it a profitable UFC 235. We'd encourage you to join us there. Also, from the Combine, we'll be talking to Rich Simonello, NFL Network. He'll be joining us. We'll get a live report from how, I don't know, what Kyler Murray's shoe size is. I don't even know what they do with the Combine anymore. It's absolutely baffling to me. But we will have a live report from the Combine tomorrow. A lot of great information. It starts tonight, though, right? Utilize all the info we provide for you. Make sure you like the videos. Make sure you're tailing us, subscribing to us. Download the Fantasy Sports Radio Network app. Take us with you. Let's make it a profitable 2019, right? That's what it's all about. Hell, if Bryce Harper can get $330 million, well, he can get $330 million. You guys, good luck tonight. Enjoy the games. Thanks to our guests. Come back and join us again tomorrow as we talk a little, and you're going to love this, guys, the Classico. We're going to talk soccer. We have one of the best soccer handicappers in the country. Going to be breaking down, delivering winners to you tomorrow here on the Joe Raineri Show. Looking forward to that. We don't talk much soccer here, but the reality is the soccer market's a little soft, and there is plenty of value to be had, especially if you are listening to somebody who spends all day, all night, handicapping soccer. We've got that guy for you. You're going to meet him tomorrow. Big, big weekend ahead of us. Let's make some money. Enjoy tonight. Good luck. Come back and see us again tomorrow. I want to thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day. Like the videos. Follow us. Subscribe. Good luck. We'll talk to you tomorrow. It's the Joe Raineri Show.